The terminal. In a sense, it was the original Agentic platform, a way for humans to talk to computers and for computers to talk back.
The computer handles the details, allowing her to do the thinking.
What engineers wanted was simple, to make computers interactive, more personal. Before that, we punched holes in cards, wired up circuits, and then we waited.
And after hours, the results are in.
By the early 70s, we got our first screens. Suddenly, the command line became king. As computing evolved, so did the interface. We moved from cryptic commands to visual environments. Developers wanted better interfaces for code editing, and modern IDEs gave them just that. But now, we're entering a new phase, one where developers don't just write code, they guide agents. What should the interface to this agentic future really look like? It's not an intelligent terminal. It's not an agentic IDE. We think it's something entirely new, designed for the way software will be built tomorrow. That's why today we're introducing Warp 2.0, an agentic development environment.
Keynote 2.
I'm Zach, the founder and CEO of Warp. Today, I'm excited to demo Warp 2.0, the agentic development environment. Warp 2.0 has 4 parts. First, a world-class terminal. Second, a state-of-the-art coding agent. Third, agent multi-threading and management. And finally, a built-in knowledge store, Warp Drive, for providing the right context to AI and your team. The primary way of using Warp is by prompting an agent in natural language. Our universal input has full support for prompts, commands, and rich context like images, files, and URLs. Start by asking an agent to build a feature. While the agent is working, you can start other tasks. For example, an agent can help pull logs, debug production issues, and in the background, agents can even detect compiler errors and make fixes. We've built a management layer so you can be notified when agents need your attention and easily track their progress. And one more thing, Warp now has a code editor, so you can edit any changes suggested by the agent in one interface without leaving your flow. Warp's coding capabilities are state-of-the-art. Warp scored over 70 on SWE-bench Verified, and it's number 1 on Terminal Bench. Warp's agents work across multiple projects and handle large, real-world code bases. In fact, we've been using Warp to build Warp and have made it work on our biggest files, which are, I'm ashamed to say, over 20,000 lines of Rust. Unlike other terminal-based coding products, Warp supports code-based embeddings so agents can better understand and improve your code. Warp has a built-in team knowledge platform, Warp Drive, so that both humans and AI always have the right context. This includes MCP server support, rules, and the ability to share prompts and templated commands with your teammates. All of this grew out of our world-class terminal that is loved by over 500,000 active developers. AI is completely transforming how developers write code, and the tool that they need is not a terminal. It's not an IDE. It's an agentic development environment. That was a lot. Thank you for listening. Why don't we just see it in action? Okay, I am really excited to show off our agentic development environment. I'm here with Alok, one of the engineering leads on our team, and he's going to walk through some of our new features.
What's up, Zach? How's it going?
I'm doing well.
So today I'm going to walk through how I use Warp's agent and coding features to build Warp.
Okay.
So there's this kind of product nit I have in the app right now that I really want to fix. So we launched support for MCP, Model Context Protocol.
Yep.
Lets you integrate with a bunch of different features, GitHub, Notion, Linear. I don't think the UI looks as good as it could.
Let me see.
So tell me about my Notion account.
Okay.
And this is what it currently looks like. What do you think? How do you think it looks?
I think this could be improved. I don't know what the empty JSON object is supposed to be.
I also don't think just showing the tool name is super useful. I'd really want to know the server. I feel like that's the more important thing.
All right, show me how you would fix this using Warp.
So I asked a designer to actually design what they think this should look like. So this is what it should actually look like. So I think this is so much better. You have this kind of like icon that shows the running state.
Yep.
You have some information about the server. It doesn't show the tool name. I think this looks infinitely better.
I agree.
So I want to help use Warp to build this.
Okay.
Let's go into agent mode. First, I'm going to attach that image to
Yep.
use that as context.
Yeah, and one thing that's cool here is it's just one input. It's a terminal input. It's a prompt input. It lets you attach things. You do it all from one place directly within Warp. Yep.
Exactly.
All right, so we're attaching an image.
And I'm actually going to use my voice to describe what I want to do here. It's going to be like pretty tedious. I'd rather just quickly run with
Just
my
say
voice.
it. I love it.
Update how we render the MCP tool to be what is shown in this image. So specifically, I want the header to just be the name of the MCP server, and I want the body to be the server as well. So I'm going to start with something simple. This is not fully what the image will be,
Okay.
but then we can iterate from there.
Yeah.
Start simple and then
It's just like if
iterate.
you were coding this by hand, the best way to use this kind of tool, in my experience, is to break it up into pieces. So it makes total sense. Let's start with a simple prompt.
What Warp's going to do here is actually read out state of the code base using our code base indexing features to understand what files are affected. We actually built this pretty new code base indexing system. It doesn't store any of your files
Yep.
on the server, but can actually like take pretty fine-grained understanding of your code to understand which files are affected.
Okay.
Warp's code base is pretty big. Do you know how big the code base is?
I could take a guess. I actually don't know. Why do you know?
I don't know offhand, but let's ask agent mode. How many files in Rust are in this repository? Also give me the total number of files. And again, this is just going to keep on going. It's going to kind of be in the context gathering phase, but ultimately it will suggest a few diffs and we can see how they look and edit them as needed.
So for people who use Warp as a terminal, Warp works perfectly well as a terminal. In fact, it's an awesome terminal. What you're seeing Alok do is what I consider like the new way of working, where rather than just typing commands, Alok is primarily prompting here. And Alok is also doing multiple things in parallel, which I think is super cool to see. So we have one prompt, which is doing a really kind of involved coding task here, taking image context, working across a code base that I think is like over 1 million lines of code. And in another one, he's doing something where he's prompting to get a terminal task done. So it's super versatile.
I'm going to open up a new tab and start working on another task in parallel.
All right, why not?
So something I was looking into this morning was an issue in our server. I was digging into Sentry, which is what we use for crash reporting, and I noticed a panic that I really want to fix. So let's create a new branch.
And this is just regular terminal commands, works just like it should.
Exactly. Warp is a great terminal in and of itself.
Yep.
So this is the Sentry error. It's a nil pointer dereference.
Ugh.
We have a full Go is great, as I'm sure you know.
I wish this was in Rust. All right.
So fix this error for me.
It's about as simple of a prompt as you can do. Fix this error for me, but crucially, you're providing context in the form of the Sentry link, which then we have Sentry MCP hooked up. The agent here will go and gather all the information, and then you are in the code base that has this error. That's correct?
Exactly.
Okay. Super cool.
And so what's cool is because I gave it access to that URL, you can see it immediately has the right context around the stack trace, and it can start searching the code base to figure out what's affected and what the right kind of change would be.
Can you show how our UX supports managing multiple of these agents? I see that the first one is still running.
Yeah, definitely. So you can kind of go up here and see everything that's running concurrently at the same time. What's awesome is that it'll tell you if it's blocked an input. So it's kind of perfect timing because we just got notified
Okay, nice.
around the other session. So let's check and see what's going on.
All right.
So let's
see how
go
we're
into the
doing.
diff. So here it's going to say the header now is the name. The body is the input. So that's actually not fully what we want. So what's cool about Warp is that I can just directly edit these files directly in the terminal.
This is brand new for folks who are seeing this for the first time. The ability to have an embedded code editor directly in Warp where you don't have to switch context. And it's something that can be used both by the agent and by Alok here. And it's a super smooth way of iterating with an agent to get exactly the result that you want.
Exactly. So here I want for the title, I think server name is fine for now.
Okay.
But I want this to say something like calling server name.
All right, let me see.
So let's do that. So calling, let's include the server name and let's add an ellipses at the end.
Yeah, and this is like a totally nice, very functional code editor with line numbers, syntax highlighting. It's fully built in Rust and it's right here in line. And if you want to pop it out, you can.
Right. So I can always, I have multiple tools in my tool bag. It's
Yep.
kind of one way I like to think about it. I can prompt if I feel like it'd be faster for me just to make the change directly. I can do that.
And like sometimes it's just going to be faster for you to do it. Like you've been an engineer for a long time and doing it by prompt doesn't make sense. I find when it's a much more substantial change or complicated in some way, it really is nice to do it by prompt. But here it makes total sense to just edit it.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to reject this change.
Okay.
And I'm going to run it because I actually think that what we have right now might be a good start. And I want to see visually what it looks like. I always try to work iteratively.
Sounds good.
In the meantime, let's see what we have here. So it's trying to fix this nil pointer to reference. So I'm going to apply this. I'm not convinced this is fully right, but I think this kind of fixes the issue. I want to see the next change it makes. I think collectively that next change will get me to what I want.
Okay.
So in the meantime, let's see what this looks like after those changes.
Okay. Let's see if we made any progress.
So cool. I think this already looks a lot better.
Oh, this is way better.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is, what are we missing here, if anything?
The big thing that I would love is that little yellow icon.
Okay.
On the
You
line.
think that that's possible?
Let's try.
All right.
I'm going to keep on accepting this diff. I'm actually going to go into my AI autonomy settings. Warp lets you control kind of autonomy mode. So I can go, I have like full control. Always ask to show code diffs and I can refine them myself. Always allow. So
That's what I
Warp will
use.
always apply the diff. I'm going to go into this mode. I actually find this works pretty well for me. And then I can always iterate afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they're in a Git repo, I think this is my preferred mode of working. It just saves a lot of time to let the agent try to do what it wants to do first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can see it made the changes. All the tests pass. It's going to make sure the server builds. Assuming that's the case, I'm going to go and have it write additional tests for me.
That makes sense. I'd like to not see this regress if possible. So I think having it write some unit tests for you is a great use of agent.
Exactly. Add some unit tests.
So what I love about this workflow is that you are able to pull context very seamlessly from another system through Sentry, but you get the fix in your own workbench. It's not some cloud thing that's running someplace. It's your hands-on keyboard right here. And so you can very quickly be like, hey, I want unit test for this, or I want to edit this unit test, and I want to do multiple things at once, and it's in your own workbench.
And it's using all of the kind of CLI tools I already have installed.
100%.
It just works how I expect it to
Yeah.
work.
And like this is using MCP, but another thing that's really cool is that, like you said, it has access to every CLI tool. So it can use Git, it can use curl, it can use the GitHub CLI.
Yeah.
And you don't need to install MCP for most things as long as there's a CLI for it, but
Exactly.
you can. Yeah.
Exactly. So while this diff is loading,
Yep.
so let's jump back and prompt a little bit more to add that icon. Let's attach that conversation. So I want to keep on going with that existing conversation. Update to include the yellow icon in the body of the requested action per the initial image. We can go back and see how the fix for the panic on the server is going. And it's creating a diff to actually add unit tests, which is pretty cool.
Cool.
So it created some set of diffs for the generate embeddings class, and now it'll go and add more tests to the manager.
Is it doing these because it knows there's a dependency on this for when it writes the tests in the manager?
I think it added diffs for both.
Okay, for both teams.
So in manager, it go as well.
All right, amazing.
It found the right place to render. It found this function icon for action status, which is the function that we need to change.
Okay. You know what? You get 2 tests running. You want to run 3?
Sure. So I'm going to do this actually in parallel here. So just so you can see everything working side by side.
Okay. What are we going to do?
So I sent a PR to you and you had a comment on it that was pretty good, but I want to actually
Thank you.
help.
Okay.
Don't let it get to your head. And I wanted to resolve it. So I actually think this is another really good use for Warp's ADE-based experience. What I'll do is there's a prompt that you wrote, and what a prompt is you spend some time, and really anyone on our team can do this, writing up kind of these more thorough prompts that we can use in Warp whenever.
Yep.
Kind of like the main value prop here is that one person writes it once, and then everyone on the team can leverage it over and over again.
Yep, and this is our shared space called Warp Drive, where it's exactly what it looks like. It's a very fast, lightweight way of sharing things across Warp.
And there's this one that's responding to PR comments. So what this is saying is, hey, I can get the PR comments for the specific PR, and then address them, and then respond to that PR.
Yep.
Respond to PR comments, and let's get that running too.
Cool.
And while that goes, how
if-
this looks.
We have unit tests being run in one tab. We have PR comments being responded to in one pane, and we have a feature being implemented in another.
So this one didn't compile. And you can see it keeps on going into this pager. I'm actually going to fix this
Yeah, turn
by
the page.
telling Warp to not use the pager. Don't use the pager. I think this is a good use case for voice. I don't think I need to type this out.
Yep.
When using the GH or Git CLI.
You can do this for this session, which is cool. I think another nice way of doing this would be to set up a rule.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So let me create a new rule. So let's open IA rules. And this is a way of, I can hint towards the LLM of what specific actions it could take. Here I'm going to say avoid using the pager, never run commands in the pager for Git or GH.
Yeah, that should do it. And these are also saved in Warp Drive, which is super cool.
Which means they're also synced to any machine.
Yep, wherever you are.
Let's go back here and say, I'm just going to say keep going, honestly.
Yep, and over here we add something that successfully built for the, this is for adding the icon.
Exactly. So now it fixed all the compilation errors. Let's run this. And while this is running, let's see what's going on here.
So why couldn't it find that PR, do you think?
So I think this is actually purely because it's entering a pager.
Okay.
So let me update that rule. I think this is actually another good use case for rules.
So it's maybe not the no pager argument, but it should be piping to cat, yeah?
Exactly. So let's get this going. Cool. So it finished. Let's just look at the summary of the changes.
Okay.
So it added the calling server text like originally. Looks like it built that icon using this icon for action stats to type, which is what we wanted. It made some compiler errors and then fixed them, which is cool. I feel kind of bullish that this is going to work. So let's run this. Tell me about my Notion account. And let's see what we get. And cool. This is basically exactly what I put in the mock. There's some more iteration that I could do.
Yep.
But I think this is like a pretty good start.
No, this is
check this in and then
this is awesome.
find it even
This looks way better than it did look.
And again, like if you think about it, all I really started with was an image. Like the way it picked up on this was an image.
English, and you got a pretty cool change.
Something that was much better than we had.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's check in on the other tasks we had. It's reviewed the comments and it's going to actually suggest some changes. And I think the main thing we need to do here is just have it make the change.
So does it understand? So my suggestion was to make this API not return an option. Did it understand that?
It looks like it didn't. So why don't we follow up here, directly address Zach's comment. And while that's going, let's look at the last one, which is adding tests. So what this did was this fixed the nil pointer dereference, added a bunch of tests.
Yep.
And committed them. So I think this is good to go. I would honestly go ahead and send this out for review.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you want to send this out for review?
Yeah, so why don't I use the new prompt that you added to make a PR with my open changes.
Let's do it.
So there's a few changes here, right? So what your comment was. You actually want to summarize what the comment was?
My comment was that for this segmented control component, that it shouldn't be returning optional values because they're like that would indicate some sort of internal programming error. So it should just return the selected control with no option. And so it would need to change the API in the class and also the callers.
And it looks like it's doing that. It's even updating the demo. So we have some
that's really cool.
And it picked up on that too. So now it's going to check if everything works. I'm actually going to run with universal developer input. See it live. If that works for you.
Sure.
So
I think it's going to look a little bit unstyled right now.
Totally. More just to see it live. I'd love to see it.
Cool. And how's the other task doing?
And so it's going to start creating PR. Where should we push it? Warp server. That looks great. It's going to create this PR. It opened it for the browser. It summarized the changes. Pretty cool.
So just to refresh, this one was entirely from passing in a Sentry link showing an error.
Exactly.
So cool.
So I've gone from a URL to a PR description that summarizes the changes. Obviously, the changes themselves with like a ton of tests that document or verify that we actually fixed this properly.
Right.
And very little intervention, if any.
Yeah.
This is building, but as soon as this runs, we should be able to verify everything works. So this is some new component, obviously very unstylized, not meant to be finished, but you can see this component, which we got feedback on, still works perfectly, but with a much better API.
All right, ship it. Super cool.
Cool.
So I think you're going to push this back up. I think we're in a pretty good spot here.
I think so too.
Just to summarize, we did 3 real programming tasks here. One was building a feature from an image on our real code base. A second one was pulling a real error that we have from our staging rig, a nil pointer dereference, having the agent understand it and fix it. And the third thing was responding to a PR comment that I left. The agent pulled down all that context, figured out what I was talking about, made the change for you. It did all of this in parallel with a UX that showed you how to see the progress of each agent. It did it in a way that leveraged the context of our team so that as you sort of prompted and made rules, they would be saved and used for everyone. And it did it all while you're in control, which is really cool. So at any moment, you could dive in, you could edit the code in line, you could correct it, make changes, and execute commands, because it is, at the end of the day, something that is built on top of our terminal interface. So it's super duper powerful. I think it really shows the way that developers are going to be working, where your job is kind of more like a conductor or a coordinator, an orchestrator of all these agents who are helping you do your job faster. For people who are watching, I really hope you try it out. This is sort of the early days of it. It's the worst it's going to be, but it's already hinting at this incredible power that makes me really excited about how development is going to change over the next year. So please give it a shot and let us know how it goes. Thanks.